Hey, this is Mr. Ayton. This is AP Chemistry Unit 1 Review of Atomic Structure and Properties. This is 7 to 9% of the AP exam. If this is your first time in AP Chemistry, follow all my videos and there'll be great reviews of every single unit. So let's get to it. Topic 1.1 starts off with moles and molar mass. And there is one equation that governs all of this, and it's right here in the middle. That's moles is equal to the mass divided by molar mass. So if you have grams, divide by the molar mass, and that gives you moles. If you have moles, you got to multiply by the molar mass to get you grams. And you're going to use that throughout all of AP Chemistry, so make sure you get used to it. You can see right here, this is an AP exam question. The student determines 0.0114 moles of carbon dioxide, and we want to know the number of grams. So what do we do if we have moles? We have to multiply by the molar mass. How do you find the molar mass? Add it up on your periodic table. So that times 44.01 grams per mole gives you 0.502 grams of carbon dioxide. So that's going from moles in the grams, we multiply. Here's the exact opposite. You can see we have some tarnish on here. They gave us the molar mass, 247.80 grams per mole. You can see before the tarnish removal and after the tarnish removal, we subtract those two numbers, 409.21 grams minus 398.94 grams. That gives us 10.27 grams of Ag2S, which is the tarnish. Once we have grams, as soon as you have grams, the only thing you can do is divide by the molar mass. And they gave us the molar mass in this problem. We divide by the molar mass, and that gives us 0.04145 moles of the tarnish of the Ag2S. Now keep in mind, you always want to put the number rounded to the correct significant digits, the units, moles, and what it's assigned to, the Ag2S. But they asked us for calculating the number of moles of just the silver atoms, not the moles of the Ag2S. So we have to do a molar ratio. For every one Ag2S, we have two Ags. That's a 1 to 2 ratio. So if we have 0.04145 moles of Ag2S, that means we will have 0.08290 moles of Ag. So if you have moles, multiply by the molar mass to get grams. If you have grams, divide by the molar mass to get moles, and look to do a molar ratio step. That's topic 1.1. Topic 1.2 is the mass spectra of elements. When it says mass spectra, you're going to have a spectrum that looks like this. And this spectrum, you can see there's 3 isotopes. An isotope is the same number of protons, the same element, different number of neutrons, a different mass. So you can see the most abundant isotope is isotope 28, but we have 29 and 30. So how do we calculate the average atomic mass? We take 28, the mass, and we multiply by the percentage, which is about 0.92, 92%. Plus the 29, which is about 0.05%, about 5%, 0.05, plus 30 times 0.03, about 3%. And that gives us 28.1, the average atomic mass units, which if we look on our periodic table, what has an average atomic mass of about 28.1? That's silicon. That's silicon right here. And again, we said there's 3 isotopes. The most abundant isotope is silicon-28, which the number of protons and neutrons equals the atomic mass. So if silicon has 14 protons, then that must mean silicon-28 has 14 neutrons, silicon-29 has 15, and 30 has 16. That's topic 1.2. Topic 1.3 is the elemental composition of pure substances. You can see this is a sample problem where we have a white powder that contains 6.4 grams of copper, 3.6 grams of chlorine. A brown powder has 4.7 grams of copper and 5.3 grams of chlorine. What do you do if you have grams? Divide by the molar mass. So you take the 6.4 grams of copper and divide by copper's molar mass. Same thing with the 4.7 grams. Then you take the grams of the chlorine and divide by chlorine's molar mass. And that gives you the number of moles. Remember, moles is a ratio. So if you end with 0.101 moles of copper and 0.101 moles of chlorine, that's a 1-to-1 ratio of copper to chlorine. So the white powder's formula is CuCl. If you have 0.074 moles of copper and 0.149 moles of chlorine, that's a 1:2 ratio. So copper chloride is CuCl2 for the brown powder. Again, all we're doing is taking grams, divide by molar mass to get the moles, look for a molar ratio. We can have topic 1.4, which is composition of mixtures. That is, again, if you have grams or percentage, divide by molar mass to get moles. In this problem, they gave us the moles already, so we don't have to divide by molar mass. We are moles. You can see moles of E, moles of S, moles of O. If you don't see the ratio, divide by the smallest one. You can see we divided by 0.0338 for every single one, and we got a 2:1:3 ratio, which gives us the chemical formula, the empirical formula, the simplest whole number ratio formula. And an empirical formula is just a ratio of moles, a ratio of moles. Let's go to topic 1.5. And topic 1.5 is about atomic structure and electron configuration. And first, they wanted us to do the complete electron configuration of a manganese atom. So you look at where manganese is on the periodic table, and you're going to do the electron configuration. We start with 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, and manganese ends in 3d5. Sometimes you'll see this written as 3d5, 4s2. That's because manganese will lose the 2 electrons from the 4s, and so the 4s electrons will be lost. Manganese will sometimes be a positive 2 charge because it'll lose those 2 from the 4s. And that is topic 1.5. Topic 1.6 deals with electron configuration, but in a graphical form called Photoelectron Spectroscopy, PES. And all PES data is the electron configuration. The height of the peak tells us how many electrons. Where the peak is on the chart tells us the binding energy, or how strongly attracted those electrons are to the nucleus. So we always start with the 1s2, and that is always the highest energy because the 1s2 electrons are closest to the nucleus and therefore are the most attracted or has the highest binding energy. It takes the most energy to rip those away. So the first 2 electrons, a height of 2, is 1s2. The second is 2s2, a little less energy because it's a little further away from the nucleus. Then we have 2p6. You can see that has 6 electrons high. Then the final peak is 3s2, which means this is magnesium. And those 2 electrons are the furthest away from the nucleus, which means they have the least amount of binding energy. Therefore, magnesium will lose those 2 electrons to become positive 2 in a chemical reaction. Topic 1.7 is all about periodic trends, and periodic trends, we go to this little atomic structure, Coulombic attractions. You can see Coulombic attractions deals with Q1 times Q2. Those are the charges. So the greater the charge, the greater the Coulombic forces of attraction. The r squared, or the separation distance, is on the denominator. So the greater the separation distance, the further away from the nucleus, the less Coulombic force of attraction. And we're going to be talking about ionization energy, the energy, the binding energy of an electron, how much energy it takes to remove an electron, atomic and ionic radii, electron affinity, which is just the affinity for an electron, and electronegativity, which is the attractiveness of an electron in a bond. So periodic trends all boils down to pretty much horizontal trends and vertical trends. So if it's a horizontal trend where the valence electrons are in the same energy level, go to the number of protons, what's called the nuclear charge. So you're going to the numerator of Coulombic attractions. The nuclear charge. More protons means more attraction of the electrons with the nucleus. If you're talking about a vertical trend, look at the location of where the valence electrons in the principal quantum energy levels. The further away the valence electrons are, or the higher the principal quantum energy level, the less energy it takes to rip away those electrons. So let me give you an example. It says, using principles of atomic structure and Coulomb's law, explain why silver has a larger atomic radius than copper. why silver has a larger atomic radius than copper. So let's look at where silver is, and let's look at where copper is. So copper is, this is a vertical trend here. Copper is in that 4th energy level, the valence electrons, and silver is located in the 5th energy level. So here we want to do claim, evidence, reason. Now they already gave us the claim. The claim was silver has a larger atomic radius than copper. Then we go to evidence. What's our evidence? This is a vertical trend. So silver's valence electrons are located in the n equals 5 principal quantum energy level, where copper's valence electrons are located in the n equals 4. That's the evidence. Now you have to explain what that evidence means, that reason. The reason is since silver, Ag's valence electrons are located in a higher energy level compared to copper's valence electrons, they're located further from the nucleus, which results in a larger atomic radius. Okay, let me give you another example. Here we're looking for fluoride ion. Why is the fluoride ion smaller than the oxide ion? Okay, so fluorine has a -1 charge, oxygen has a -2 charge. Well, this is they have the same number of electrons. The electrons are in the same principal quantum energy level. So let's look at the number of protons. Fluoride has 9 protons, whereas oxide has 8 protons. Again, they gave us the claim. This is the evidence. Now we want to do what's called a reason. What does that mean if fluoride has more protons? If fluoride has more protons, fluoride has a greater nuclear charge compared to oxide. This nuclear charge, this greater nuclear charge, attracts the valence electrons to a greater extent, making the ionic radius smaller. And therefore, the ionization energy would be larger because the electrons are more attracted to the nucleus. So that's topic 1.7 is all about trends. Topic 1.8 is about valence electrons and ionic compounds. Valence electrons in each group, you just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for valence electrons. And so it says explain why calcium chloride, CCl2, is likely to have the same similar properties to calcium bromide, CaBr2. Well, calcium has 2 valence electrons. So calcium in this ionic compound loses 2 electrons to become calcium plus 2. That's similar in both of those compounds. Well, what's also similar between chloride and bromide have 7 valence electrons, and each one gains 1 electron to become chloride and bromide. And so that is why we have similar properties there. Okay? And that is Unit 1 review, atomic structure and properties. Hope this helped everyone. Check out all my videos, all my unit reviews on MrAyton.com or on my YouTube channel. Thanks. Bye.